Welcome to Storytelling. This week's guest started her career at just 5 years old, landed her first audition as the voice of Sally Brown in the iconic Peanuts cartoons. After early success and personal struggles of addiction, she found new purpose in helping others heal. While working in nursing, she discovered that true recovery begins within and turned her own pain into purpose through deep inner healing. Today, she's a motivational speaker, actress, and artist who empowers women to rise above adversity and reclaim their lives. Please welcome Hilary Momberger Powers. Hello, Hilary, and welcome to the podcast.
Good morning or good afternoon, whichever you want to choose. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hilary, you've worn many hats: actress, model, painter, life coach, speaker. When did you first realize it was time to reinvent yourself?
Oh my gosh. When I was in my 20s and I had gotten sober and I had this mentor who was very straight and narrow, I would say she was linear. So she had chosen one path. She went back to law school. She became a public defender who I loved to the end of time. And she said to me, "You need to pick one thing." And I remember that day so vividly, like it was yesterday. I thought, why do I have to do that when I've been given so many different interests and so many different talents? I thought, if I pick one, what if it's not the right one? Now, I'm not choosing from fear. I'm just thinking, why do I have to pick one thing? So in my 20s, I had already gone through nursing school. When I was 17, I had been an actor as a child all growing up. I had worked as a waitress. I made furniture. It didn't matter. When someone would say, "Do you need a job?" It was like, sure. I was so open to survive.
Mm-hmm.
That was more of my vein at the time. When I had gotten sober at 21, it was almost like I had this awakening of like, wow, there's a whole world out there. Like, you don't have to pick one thing and, I'm a doctor. That's it. It's like, well, what else about you? I know there's many different facets on every diamond. Even an emerald has 8. And if we're going to a brilliant, I don't even know how many. And we're all little pieces of diamonds. When I was in my 20s, my mentor said to me, "Well, we got to get you back to school." And she said, "What do you like to do?" And I said, "Well, I like to draw." "Well, you can't make a living just, I'm going to do picturias maybe in Venice on the beach, but I don't know how much of a living I was going to make." She said, "Okay, well, let's get you into school." So I started going to graphic arts school, and I realized it wasn't exactly what my mind thought it was going to be. I thought it'd be fun, but it was actually quite technical graphic arts. It was very nitty gritty and white gloves, and I don't operate in white gloves. I'm all over the place. In a way, I'm very structured, but I like to be free. I call myself the kite opposed to the rock. But it was in my last year, and I thought I got a live nude drawing class. And that's where I realized that my art was more freeform. And I didn't finish my last semester. And my mentor was just like, "You got to complete it. You have to become somebody." And I thought, I already am somebody. I'm a bunch of different things. So in my 20s, I gave myself permission to change my mind because I was so stuck. You hear this regimented, this indoctrinating dogma of you got to be this, and then you'll become this. But I couldn't grasp that. Thank God that my mind is a little twisted when it comes to that. Because I thought, well, if I'm supposed to be one thing, how come I have so many interests and I have so many likes and talents in all these different areas? I see my life, it's like God gave me a hope chest. I hope I open it. A lot of people hope they open it. A lot of people never open it. And I was given this hope chest, and I was brave enough because someone encouraged me to see outside of myself because myself was stuck in I'm enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'll never get anywhere, I'm a loser, I failed. Everybody's smarter. I'm white trash. I'm from the wrong neighborhood. I'm the wrong. I don't care. It's the elevator music that I in my head. It's just like wah wah wah, very Charlie Brownish. But and somewhere along the line, I was introduced to that, to my hope chest, and in my hope chest, I have found I love helping people. I love art. I love dancing. I love acting. I love figuring things out. I love intricate pieces. I'm very curious. I'm very defiant. Like there's all these things that have helped to me go to my next indicated step. It's a long answer to when do I know to reinvent myself? When I have that heart pull that says you can do anything. If I can dream it, if I can think about it, if I can imagine it, I'm on my way to having it.
I want to come back to this
Mhm.
hope chest that you mentioned. And I love the analogy when you describe life as pieces of diamond. And one thing that you talked about in terms of that identity, you have to be one thing or the other,
Mhm.
and you're refusing and saying no. What have you learned about letting go of other identities to embrace new ones and not being pigeonholed?
How have I gotten there? You know, I think when we grow up, I have my own analogies of how life has taken its wings for me. First, I was so troubled because on the outside, it seemed like life was perfect from this really pretty family, because, looks are really important in our environment and our climate. And if you look good on the outside, that must mean everything. It's that veneer, it's that house of horrors. It's like the big top. Welcome. It looks great. But once you enter, you're like, da 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 da. And so I had this outside appearance where people would shun from me because we look like we were okay. But at the inside, there was anger and resentment. There was lots of violence. There was lots of alcoholism. There was physical abuse, sexual abuse. There was all kinds of crazy, the stuff that you don't talk about. So when I grew up in this world, and this is in my mind, I start becoming, I'm terrified. I'm afraid. I don't feel enough. I start picking at myself. I'm reflecting the anger that's on my outside world and I'm taking it, I'm internalizing it, I'm just ingesting it. So all the crazy in my family, I start turning on myself. I'm almost like a Pac-Man. I start eating myself. So I grow up with these characteristics based on fear. And so here I am, I go into the world and that's my reflection. It's like, how do I let that go? I see how all my fears are driving me and picking all my friends, the men I date, the schools I go to, everything. Everything I'm picking based on this really low, low, low vibration. And how do I let that go? I get to, and I don't say have to because that feels painful. I get to see my life as, wow, this is the character that I have become, not because that's who I am originally. It's because I've taken on everybody's hurt, anger, resentment, all this stuff. And I put this cloak on and I'm like, oh, how am I going to be happy now? You get to a point in your life. I know we all get to those points when we leave high school. We're like, God, who am I? Am I my family? And I take on all the principles that my family has. Like my mother used to say, if you don't have an education, you're going to live in the gutter. If you're so, that's her
Mhm.
principle. And I'm so defiant. I say, I don't need school. I drop out in ninth grade with my finger in the air. And so I take on her principle. I'm white trash. I'm going to live on the streets. So what do? I become white trash. I live on the streets. See how all these principles and all these fears that drive me, I have to get to a point where I realize I don't want to live like this anymore. So my desire to change has to be greater than my desire of staying the same.
Talking of that desire to change, was there a reflective moment? Because you talked about all the various things that you went through growing up that behind closed doors, very traumatic, but in front of everyone else, it looks like a picture perfect family. When did you discover that things were not right and that a change needed to happen?
When I was a kid, my friends weren't allowed over our house. The parents were like, oh, it's a little crazy in that house. They saw things and they would protect their children. When I was a kid, the only way that my girlfriends used to come over, they offered to clean the house. It was so crazy. So my friends would say, I have to clean your house. And I go, I know you don't want to come over. And they go, no, we'll do it. We love hanging out with you. You're fun. You're funny. So they would come over and help clean my house. Well, I always thought that was a little different. I know there was a little off there. And when you get so many bands, those little bombs and bombs, when I ended up fighting back to my mother because she hit me a lot, and she sent me to juvenile hall when I was 15 for assault and battery. And then I lived in a foster home. And I saw a difference of how one mother loved a daughter to another. See, that's the glimpse. When you see something different, you can think different. But if you're stuck in the same thing over and over, how can you want to, when someone says, I want to change my life, I want to change my life, if you don't have an idea of a different life, how are you going to reach for it? I can't be something I can't imagine or feel. So when I was exposed to this foster home and my foster mother said to me, how was your day? I want to feel how good you felt. And I thought, oh my God, she's weird. Because anytime I had a good day at home, my mother would get angry and punish me. So I would always go to, oh, I have the worst life. And she would almost be happy. It's mental illness. She was very mentally ill. So when I got exposed to this, I went to an extension school, which is when you're a bad kid or not perfect, haha. You would go to an alternative school. And I went to 9 of them. So I was trying to figure out which one I liked, apparently. So I went to this one and I was walking down the hall in my school and there was a child psychologist there. And I remember looking in thinking, I wonder if she can help me, because I knew the life I came from. I was getting a little taste of what a real love family interaction could be. It was like almost like I got a bit of salt and you go, ooh, I should put that on everything. I got that taste. And I walked down the hall and her name was Judy Granger. And she said, come on in. Because I would walk by, that kind of like flirting with the idea of going in. And she said, come on in, sit down. And I sat down and I said, I don't want to be like my family. How do I do that? And that was my first introduction to where me knowing that I no longer wanted to be in this paradigm of pain, of depression, of shame and fear and embarrassment and anger and addiction. Like I started to shift. So it became my process of the more I focus on what I want instead of all this, my past, my past, my past. It's my family, it's my this, it's my, my class, my skin color. Stop. What do you want? Because that's how you move towards your next indicated step. You have to go for desire. So that was my first bit. And I've had so many landmines of going, wow, this is, wow, this is. So when I say opening my hope chest, I had a sliver of hope, meaning I could have a different life. But it took me a long time to really shred it open, because to expose it is a little scary. It's almost like being in the dark and turning a light switch on. Your eyes hurt. So for me, I had a dimmer and it became stronger and stronger. And sometimes I turn it down and sometimes I turn it up, especially when I'm going towards a different avenue, because I'm in a new career path now. And I have friends going, oh my God, you're reinventing yourself again. I have the Negative Nancy fan club. right? And then I have the other fan club that goes, that's awesome, Hilary. I can't wait to see you evolve because you encourage me. There's always going to be the polar opposite. I still have friends who are in their trauma. So it's live or die, hate, good, bad, starve, happy, sad. And so I focus on the people that go for it. And it's not that I'm reinventing myself. I'm just becoming more of what God actually gave me the gifts to be.
I think that's really amazing and really important as well because we're not trees, we can move, we're not stagnant.
Mhm.
So,
I can be replanted. It's like, here's the thing. It's not the it's like you think of the tree, how it takes roots. It goes everywhere and it can spawn a new tree.
yeah.
That's the beauty of it. But we can't see it. We just have to know it.
So, Hilary, you've been a storyteller through acting, art, and now coaching.
Mhm.
How has storytelling served as a bridge to healing and moving forward?
Oh my God, I love that. That's one of my big questions. Storytelling is, when you start talking about a subject, it's always outside of yourself. And the more you connect with it, the more it eternalizes and it becomes a part of you. So when I tell stories about where I come from, in the beginning, when I would talk about it, it's almost a natural state, I believe, for people to third party it. They'll talk about,
Mm.
yeah, when I was in college or was I was in, grade school or we almost talk about it like a third person because if I connect too much with it and I get into the emotions, there are people who are terrified of emotions and they constantly talk in a third party. We're enamored by them. We think they're strong. I call them detached. I don't call it, that's no strength. That's like disconnecting. Like, dude, you need to connect. Can I hear more about you? So when I started storytelling, and even as a kid, I used to love telling stories. When my friends would say, "Oh my God, your mother's crazy," the shame kicked in. And so I would tell this fun story about, oh my God, you want to know how crazy she is? And I would talk about what would happen in my family life, and people would
Mm.
laugh. And I thought, this isn't really funny, but okay, maybe I can laugh at it too. And then I started connecting to the feelings. It was like, it's okay for me to be uncomfortable. There is some humor in pain. So I started doing that. But since I have been given the gift of gab, which we all have little gifts, I didn't know I had it so valiantly, but I've been given the gift of gab, the power of the sword, as they say. I can either hurt you with my words or I could help you feel better. And I have chose the lesser of the evil. So I will tell stories and I will talk about myself, the things I've done. I mean, you could judge me to the end of time, but I always say you can't kill that woman. She's already dead. I'm no longer that character. You can't hurt me with it. So by me bringing who I am to you, I'm actually encouraging you and giving you permission for you to bring yourself to me. And then we can both look at who you are, take out the good parts, and maybe discard the stuff that's no longer pushing you towards your desires.
Yeah, I want to come back to the various chapters that you've mentioned in your life. How do you know when you're being called to your next chapter, to the next thing? What does that calling feel like?
Well, there's three parts: the body, mind, and the spirit. That's kind of who we are. My mind's in the thinking, oh my God, I got to do this. I got to do this. It's kind of attached to my ego. So the ego's never satisfied. So we kind of don't want to go with that one because we hear people say, I really think about it and it's what I want. You can almost imagine them falling from grace because they're so dogmatic about becoming somebody different.
Mm.
So when you get that spark of like, you know what? Wow, this is weird. I kind of want to, let's say I'm going to just talk about, because I've had a plethora of different careers because I'm like a colorful kaleidoscope. I'm just a colorful human being. Lucky me. A lucky me because I can spot my colors.
Yeah.
And so can you. You like to point them out, whatever. But I can spot my colors and I can go, okay, I'm going here. But you get that spark of, I feel like doing this, like, okay, maybe I should just do speaking as maybe that's my next path. So I get that thought. Remember, that's connected to my ego. Ego's either going to say, yeah, you're going to be amazing, or forget it. No one's going to listen to you. You're a piece of shit. There's my
Mm.
ego. It's on a pendulum, it's swinging. Well, I want to get into the gray zone. How can I get into the middle of that pendulum, that sound advice? So I start asking my heart, is this really what I want? Now I'm going to pray because I love praying. It's the art. Prayer is powerful. I'm connecting to something greater than me. I can be pretty powerful. I can destroy families. I can say one sentence and there goes our relationship. Bam, I'm powerful. I jokingly say that. I say, you are a power. You better watch it. So I try to align with this power greater than me. I call it God for the sake of the word. And I say, God, is this my next indicated step? Can you show me? So now I've gone from my mind to my heart, which is my spirit, and now the body. So all of a sudden, I go to a film festival. And I don't want to talk about film. I am so bored with people talking about acting. And I see a woman in the kitchen hanging balloons. Now I go with my little girl. It's like, oh, balloons. So I talk to this woman. She's a professor at a very well known university teaching sociology. And she says to me, wow, you're fascinating. Would you like to talk to my graduate students about mental health and how we can't label people immediately? I said, absolutely. Boom, there's my physical. That's where I go, oh, wow. So my desire thought went to my heart. And then all of a sudden, physically, I'm led to my next indicated step. That's how I know I'm on my right path. And then when I welcome that and I say yes to this opportunity, all of a sudden it snowball effects. Then someone else asked me at the Chamber of Commerce, asked me to speak. And then another person says, get on my podcast. And then another one says, come on my podcast. Oh my God, you'd be great. Meet me here. Can you fly to here? That's how it works.
I'm going to ask a question about the power of prayer because I
Uh,
also believe in the power of prayer, but not everyone understands
yeah.
the power of prayer. Just because you've asked for something doesn't mean you're going to get it instantly or that you deserve to get what you prayed for instantly. And sometimes you may have to go through a process
Right.
in order for your prayer to be answered, and that process may look a bit uncomfortable.
Right.
What would you say to someone who wants to understand that power of prayer and that calling to your true purpose?
Wow, that's a really heavy question. And but it's such an important question because especially our climate today, everything is so crazy.
Mm.
How can I believe in God or power when there's people dying all over the place? Right? There's my black and white thinking. There's my trauma response. Either God is amazing or he doesn't exist.
Mm.
So how do I get into the middle? Well, first of all, someone was kind enough to say God is not Santa Claus. Because I believe that all you had to do is be a good little girl and you pray and God will give you all the desires of your heart. Well, I don't even know what my heart is. See, my heart said, I want to become a stockbroker. That's my head. Remember when I was talking about connect from my heart, my head to my heart to my physical? So how
Mm.
do I do that? Like, first of all, like I said, let's say God is not Santa Claus. I can have an idea what I want. And then I got to pray to something I don't even believe is there. Because if he's not Santa Claus, what is it? It's power, higher power, something higher than my power. I'm going to pray to. I call it God for the sake of the word. I'm just being very for the whole audience. I'm going to say, God, I don't even know who you are. I don't even know if you're there. I kind of don't believe it, but you know what? I'm going to act as if. And I go to, can you help me surrender what I think I want? And can you bring me what you believe I need? That's a hard prayer to say because I want to be in control, but I've got to go to a power higher than me because my power, I can't change people, places, and things. All I can do is tap into a source that is so amazing. I didn't create the ocean. I didn't create the trees. I didn't create the air. I mean, there's so much out there. I have to go, wow, there's got to be something really magical and powerful. I want to connect with that. I want to be friends with it. I want to be friends with that person, place, or thing. So I start praying to this power I don't believe in and I don't understand. And what ends up happening is, like I said, that snowball effect. All of a sudden, I feel closer to it. I feel like I'm relating. A relationship is about me exchanging words. And I'm not waiting for him to say, yes, Hilary, take that job. It's there at 8:30 tomorrow morning, show up. I am going to be open to feel the next step. Like my gut will tell me. Someone will show up and I'll say, wow, God heard my prayers. And sometimes my prayers are no, not because I'm not a good woman and I don't deserve it, because this universe, this God, this power, this ultimate force knows that something better is for me. So that's what I reach for. Oh, no means something better. Okay. And then I make a choice to believe in that. Because if I choose, oh, God doesn't love me, then I go back into my victimese language and I'm going to get nowhere. Why not say, oh, okay, well, God has something better. I'm in the gray zone when I say that. When I say, screw God, he doesn't love me, I'm in the negative zone. If I go to, yeah, I'm going to get it no matter what. See, we get pulled into that prosperity God that says, yeah, just believe it. Maybe sometimes you're not supposed to have it. What if you go, oh, okay. Oh, wow. Something better that's going to suit me better. It's like putting on a pair of jeans. Oh, I love that pair of jeans. But if it's 5 sizes too tight for you, honey, it ain't going to be fun. It's going to be painful. So I would rather wait till that right size fits me. And my God, my higher power, he knows exactly. And I'm saying he only because the masculine energy gives. That's why I use the he. That masculine energy is going to give to me and knows what's best for me. Because sometimes I don't know. My ego picks things, it doesn't fit me. My wounded little 7-year-old says, oh, I guess I'm just going to have licorice for dinner. I don't think that's the best thing for me, but my little girl's going to pick it. That's where I can pray and ask this power I don't understand, but I know is here because I witness it. I open my eyes and I go, wow, what a beautiful world. Or I can open my eyes and say, everything's horrible. Whatever you think about, you bring about.
If you could sit down with your younger self, the actress, the artist, the dreamer, what would you tell her?
I would tell her that everything you're going through is not real, that it's just a part of this adventure you're on. I would tell her that because, I mean, kids are so impressionable. You could look at a kid and go, can you see the butterflies in the air? And they go, oh, mommy, it's not there. And you go, no, 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 I can see it. Can you see it? And all of a sudden, they see it. It's crazy because our mind, and when it attaches to our heart, is so incredibly powerful that I would tell my young self that none of this is real, that don't attach to it because you're going to go into another scene and a new one and a new one and a new one. Just go for the ride. So I wouldn't be so attached to thinking it's my fault. Things happen. Like when my mother and father were fighting, I took it on personal. It's my fault. I'm not making enough money. My mom said that my dad doesn't have enough money for all these kids. I got to work harder because I start seeing my outsides reflecting on my insides. But if I were to let my little girl know to think from the inside, just watch the movie and just go on to the next indicated step. Enjoy it. That's what I would tell her.
And finally, what advice would you give to someone listening who feels unfinished or they've missed their chance to pursue what they meant to do? What would you say to them?
I'd say, first of all, that's bullshit. Girl, that is just bullshit. Oh man, that's your negative. That's your little girl, your little boy talking to you. because they're scared that they can't have what they want. I would suggest to get a piece of paper out and write everything that you love, because there's so many wonderful things you love. Like, I love the smell of horses. I love massages. I love the sound of kids laughing. I love playing. I love the ocean. I love the smell of green cut grass. Like, I get nostalgic. So I write all this stuff down. And once I get into that really happy place, I write down things that I would imagine having, like, oh my God, it'd be so great to go on a trip here. Or it would be so awesome to get a new car. Or it would be great to have my family meet for Christmas. And once I write that down, then I write down next to these things what it feels like to have that. And then I let God, the universe, that higher power, take over from there. Because, if I go to my parents, my father, and let's say you say to your dad, I'm using God as a dad. He says, what do you want? I don't know. He's not going to do anything. Do you want something to eat? I don't know. That's why we don't ask children what they want to eat. We give them what they need, right? Okay, so here I am going, well, I feel like I'm too old. Okay, nothing's going to happen. But if you say, what do you want? What do you like? I can get into the things that I like. And that gets me excited to look at the things that I want. And then when I see the things I want, God hears me, because God's a high vibration. God's not the low, oh, you're a piece of shit. You're not going to get anywhere. You're fat. You're old. You're ugly. You're a loser. You didn't go to school. Oh my, God just he's like, I didn't create that shit. I created the good stuff too. So once I raise my high vibration, and because we're all energy. I mean, I look at you look at me. I am atoms and molecules vibrating at such a high frequency, I become mass. Hilary, you become you. Deb, boom. Well, that's the same thing with what God does. He wants to know that your desire will manifest, meaning these things will vibrate at such a level, it will appear. But you got to go to God and ask your desires. And if he doesn't feel that's good enough, trust me, you're going to get something bigger and better, period. Just stay with that and you'll see your life shift. Because I'm 63 and I am not done. I go, oh my God, I'm going to get my books published because I have 2 children's books and I have my memoir, and then I'm coaching and I don't know, I'm excited. Because I know if I can think it, I can create it, and anything is possible. The power of my heart, mind, and body connecting is amazing. And so's yours.
Hilary, can you please, because behind where you're sitting is this poem, could you read it to everyone so we can hear what?
Okay, you guys can't see it, but I have a memoir that I'm looking for publishers, AKA. But on the memoir, it's about growing up in my family. So I took a picture of me when I was in, I don't know, 6 or 7 years old. And I did a photorealism. I do it's called stipple art on it. And I put the definition of innocent. And innocent is an adjective. It says not guilty of a particular crime. Second is free of all evil and wrongdoing. Third is harmless, not intended to be harmful. And then fourth is a noun, a person, especially your child, who is free of all evil and is foolishly trustful. That's a picture of myself. I'm seeing who I was, and I'm making friends with that. And it's okay. So it's a reminder for myself. That's my art.
I think it's absolutely amazing. Hilary, you have shared with us so much to think about, and I want to thank you so much for being a guest on this podcast.
Oh, I want to thank you so much for inviting me. I love being able to share all my pain and wisdom. It's like a copulation. I call it my soup. Yeah, I need to have the good stuff and the bad stuff. I even got a tire in there, maybe a couple lug nuts. I don't even some old dead carcass or something. And then I have, if I don't cook it long enough, it's not ready. So this is all about me serving the soup that I've been given with all kinds of stuff. It's time for me to share it. So thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. If you would like further details about Hilary, then please follow links in the show notes.